Hello my fellow chairs and welcome back to EU4, the series where we attempt to spawn global trade in every single trade node in EU4. Last time we played over here in Gujarat and we were able to successfully spawn global trade. Today we are going to be playing over here in the Americas as we attempt to spawn global trade in the Caribbean. And realistically the best way to do this is we're going to be playing as Portugal and we're just going to bum rush the Caribbean. And as soon as we colonize the entire thing as Portugal, because we get a lot of bonuses to do that, we're going to go ahead automatically swap over to Cuba and begin playing from there. All right, here we are as Portugal. Portugal is actually one of my favorite nations in all of EU4. However, we're going to be playing them a little bit different as we are just going to be rushing down the Caribbean as opposed to what I normally like to do, which is rush down to Brazil and go around Africa to Indonesia. Kind of save on money and time. We're going to just kind of chill here. We're just going to do speed 5 pretty much the entire time. I guess we'll rival Morocco, Tlemcen, and Tunis. And of course secure an alliance with the Castilians. And let's rock and roll. One very important thing as Portugal to do is take this level 2 advisor right here. He's half cost and you could just barely afford him. So yeah, he's going to help out a lot. Another thing to do as well is I'm going to take this fleet with the 5 heavy ships and 11 transports. We're going to mothball these bad boys. And I'm going to take out 3 of my light ships here, put an explorer that we start out with, Diogo Gomez, and we're going to send him to explore the West African Sea. Those 5 light ships that we split out of there, I'm going to set them to protect trade in Sevilla. So our King Alfonso V finally came of age. He's a 322, and we actually got a really decent heir. He's a 525. That's going to help us out a lot unlocking those ideas. What's not going to help us is this event, but we are going to take the stab hit because we are going to get another event as Portugal, which gives us a free stability. Speaking of that event, here it is, the Duke of Coimbra. We can either take this till the death of our ruler, extra trade efficiency and tax, or in this case, I'm just going to go for that free stability. All right, and we did just get admin tech 4, which means we get access to temples. Now, this is actually going to be pretty important as a colonial nation such as Portugal. We don't make a lot of money at the start of the game, but we need to rely on getting that income up, so that way we could actually support 2, maybe even 3 colonies. So, and also at the same time, because this is that global trade series, we don't want to make Portugal too strong of a trade power. So we're not going to be building marketplaces in Portugal whatsoever. The AI can do that. We're just going to be building temples and not even workshops. Alright, finally we did just get admin tech 5, meaning we could pick up our first idea group, which obviously is going to be exploration ideas. And we are going to keep our focus on Diplo here, because we're going to be trying to rush down both Diplotech 7 and also rush through up to about here in terms of exploration ideas. During the Age of Discovery as Portugal, you actually get this bonus right here, Portuguese colonial growth, which gives us additional settlers. So obviously we're going to be taking that. Finally, we can get overseas exploration, boosting up our colonial range, plus we get an additional colonial range from Legacy of the Navigator. So we'll finally be able to reach the Caribbean. Pretty much everything over here. I'm going to go straight for Puerto Rico, or Boracay over here, and just because it is a natural harbor and a 10 development province. I can also now explore even more of the Caribbean, so we're going to do just that. I'm also going to complete this mission beyond Cape Bojador, which is going to give us extra settler chance for the next 15 years, so even more settlers going to our colony. And because I pretty much can, I did move my colonists out of Puerto Rico and also into this island here, so then that way we're colonizing as many of these provinces as possible. But I will move them back to Puerto Rico because we do have more settlers here. This was just to get that colony started. And we finally finished our very first colony in a new world in Puerto Rico. So next, we are going to go ahead and colonize here in Havana. I'm planning on making this the capital of our nation. It is Savannah, which, I mean, it's not the best for deving. There are some better areas, but around Havana, but it's honestly better than trying to develop on this part of the Caribbean. And a lot of these are all coastal provinces, so yeah, realistically this area is going to be the best. Plus it's also a natural harbor, so we're going to get even more dev cost bonuses. I swear this game knows what I'm up to because they gave me a 556 air. Oh, the game wants me to stay as Portugal so bad, but I'm not going to. What we're going to do right now is we're going to dev up Havana a little bit. We're going to dump some admin stuff here too. We're going to give our colony some good base tax and economy right at the start. Maybe the most developed province over here. This way, again, trying to get that money flowing early on so we can build a ton of buildings. And we finally got ourselves our colonial nation here in Cuba. And what I'm going to do for Cuba, because obviously we're going to be playing as them, I'm going to have them be a self-governing colony, so then that way they actually develop their land. And now this is claimed by us because guess what? We're allied to the Pope, so now we're going to be able to expand it even faster over here. And really the only downside I'm having when colonizing these provinces is that they're all grain provinces. Other than this stuff, this is all cotton, but most of this is all grain so far. We also just picked up Admin Tech 7, so of course we're going to go with expansion ideas, try and colonize as much of this as possible before 1500 hopefully. Because once we reach 1500 we kind of have to swap over to Cuba. Also, I love the name of this province, Moron. We now produce cotton over here in Moron. What I'm doing right now also is I keep taking out indebted to the burghers. We're building workshops in all these provinces for my colonial nation. That's going to help out with the total production of value over here, which is going to help out the total trade. Pretty much the more production you have in an area, basically you're producing more of that trade good, more or less, so it's upping the total trade value of that node. Right now, to try and finish colonizing the Caribbean, I'm running 4 colonies right now and I only have 2 colonists. I really need to finish this area before 1500 though. And also, this is kind of off topic but kind of not, but Norway is the one that actually spawned colonialism. They went offensive and trade ideas. Actually really funny. I mean, if this was a normal Portugal game, I would be kind of ticked off, but no, we're just simply trying to spawn global trade. Which, speaking of trade, so far our trade node's at 2.2 ducats. We're pushing about 5 ducats out of here to kind of show you how valuable this trade node can be, especially for a colonizer pushing money to the New World, as Sevilla is now 18 ducats, and of course Genoa is like one of the most valuable. Okay, it's almost 1510, and we are finally down to the last 4 colonies or provinces that we need to colonize to complete the Caribbean. And then after that, I'm going to send the Portuguese colonists off into Africa or something just to get away. Apparently our colony in Cuba is going for the Mayans right now. I mean, I'm okay with that. They're, you know, multiple attacks ahead. They're actually pretty strong. They're going to have 21,000 troops, which same as me. So, it's going to make things easier when we actually swap over to Cuba. Okay, we have officially colonized every single province in the Caribbean, meaning that's right, we are going to go ahead and release our colonial subject, and of course we're going to play as Cuba, which yeah, I mean, we're making decent money, nothing insane by any means. Our colony also picked up offensive ideas. I'm going to drop that. We're going to instead pick up quantity ideas because we're eventually going to pair that up with trade, and we're going to go with the bureaucratic guy because we're kind of behind in admin. And we also became a great power because we did dev the crap out of Cuba. So yeah, we're going to be doing pretty good in terms of at least that. Our total trade, the total amount of money that we have in our trade node so far is 9.3 ducats, which ain't bad. We could probably get Castile to stop stealing some of our money soon enough. We're competing with Sevilla, Genoa, especially Genoa. It looks like this game is they're at 31 ducats. And some of the important trade nodes for us is going to be Panama, and also the Amazonas, Ivory Coast, Mexico, Rio Grande, Mississippi, pretty much everything except for Chesapeake Bay and Sevilla, Bordeaux, and English Channel. Okay, and we did win this war that our colonial nation did start, so that's one thing down here. And I'm thinking when we finish up our 2 colonies that my colonial nation also started, we're going to start devoting them towards colonizing down here in Panama. Or maybe actually up here in the Mississippi. Yeah, because this is up at 6.7 ducats, so I want to capitalize on that by pushing a lot of that here. Panama's not really worth much right now. And even Ivory Coast isn't worth that much. Okay, so we do kind of have our work cut out for us. We have a lot of workshops that we're going to have to build in every one of our provinces. On top of that, in terms of just competing with Genoa and the English Channel, this is going to be pretty rough. Some of the other things I did at the start here of playing as Cuba is I did hand out private trade fleets. This is going to make our light ships better at protecting trade. I gave out land of commerce, primacy of nobility, did some of the clergy stuff to try and make some of those Catholic nations like us a little bit more. I don't know why we have nobility land rights. That was something the AI did. I really don't need that right now, but okay, I guess we could rock with it. And yeah, so I got 15 ships. We're going to start protecting the Caribbean. Hopefully that stops about most of this money from leaving here. Let's see at the ticket a month. It stopped about 0.50 ducats. Other things that I could do is here in Cuba is actually do this, do a Benedictine order. This is going to give us additional base tax, or where's the one that actually gives me, yeah, base production. Okay, but I like that goods produced, so we're gonna do this one actually over the production one, even though I like the production a little bit more, but the goods produced is gonna help us out better in this situation. We're gonna do that in all of our states as well too. That's again just to make this trade node more valuable. So I got an event here to embrace Brazilian as a culture, but we're not gonna do that. I'm sorry, especially like to my friend Okaki, but we're not becoming Brazilian, my man. In terms of merchant setup, currently I didn't even realize I forgot to do this after we swapped over to that Caribbean, but we have a merchant collecting here in the Caribbean. We don't want to do that actually. What you actually do is you automatically collect in your home trade node. So you just want to transfer as much of the other surrounding trade nodes, such as let's say Rio Grande, Panama, or even some of these other ones over towards your main trade node. And I'm not even really that crazy about the Amazonas coming over here. I mean, like, it's a ducat, so I mean it is something, but it's really not that valuable. I want to get in on the Mexican trade, but apparently I don't see it that well. But if I just go simply to the trade tab here, you gotta be kidding me. I still don't see it, even though it says it's right here. Point being, I'm gonna move the guy out of the Caribbean, and I'm probably gonna move the Amazonas guy out of there and probably move him over to Mexico or Rio Grande. What I'm also going to do, because our trade node is kind of heavily contested between that of Spain, France, and Portugal, we're going to do protect trade in all the important provinces that actually have local trade centers. Luckily, this one actually has 3, and I just had to do that now in these 2 states, and that should bump up our trade from 67% up to 70, and now it's worth 11.6. We're making 15 ducats. I actually was making more before, but that's what happens when state maintenance goes up. Also going to take merchant navy here. This is going to boost up our ship trade power. Definitely needed, just again trying to compete with a lot of the nations over here and trying to push as much trade out of these areas as possible. Doing that, yeah, we're now at 12.1 ducats, which yeah, we're almost a third of the way for Genoa. It's got to keep doing what we're doing. I'm also going to go ahead and go indebted to the burghers. Yeah, it's a lot of money that we're taking out, but I need the buildings. We desperately need these buildings, raise up our production, build some marketplaces, of course, in all the provinces that are important, that have trade centers and whatnot. I got to wait to build one here. But what else can we build? At some point, we need to get into building some manufactories. That's what's really going to make us a ton of money, especially since we have about a little bit under 75 years. or a little bit over 75 years. I'm also going to go with parliamentarism. I actually like the parliament mechanics, and this will help give us additional bonuses and whatnot, just simply because, you know, we could debate about whatever we want to pass in our nation. And also, little known fact about the parliament seats: when you actually place these bad boys down, it gives your provinces additional production, tax, manpower, and sailors. So I'm going to do that again in the most important provinces, all the ones that are valuable for our trade. All right, for our third idea group, we're going to go with trade ideas, because like I always say in every one of these videos, obviously this is a series about global trade, so we got to take trade ideas. And something that's very cool about playing over here in the Indies, you know, you can either adopt, you can form quite a few different nations. You could become Cuba. It just changes you to Cuba, and you get monthly autonomy change and a bunch of permanent claims. Same thing if you form Haiti. However, we are going to be forming Caribbean nation. This is a unique nation with unique ideas. So we're going to become the West Indies. We're going to become a kingdom. We're going to get monthly autonomy change and some really good ideas. An interesting flag, and we got a nice baby barf green color here. And as I mentioned earlier, West Indie ideas are actually really nice for trade. So you get development costs and additional merchants. So now we're about to have like 5 merchants. Construction costs and production efficiency, along with institution spread, national unrest, global trade power, and additional trade range. Max promoted cultures is kind of but I get it, especially if you expand over here. Diplo rep and additional naval force limit. They're good ideas for where you're playing at, especially if you decide to expand into Mexico, which that's what I'm going to do. All right, let's go ahead, kick off our own invasion of Mexico, specifically down here in the Yucatan Peninsula. We're going to try and annex as many of these guys as possible. Okay, let's go ahead, full annex this guy. I would do Huastec, but honestly I'm too lazy to land over there. We're just going to take this, and oh my god, how can we still not see Mexico? Well, regardless, we're going to start our next war right away against Quiche, Itza, and Shu. Okay, and we've pretty much taken over most of the Yucatan Peninsula. I'm waiting to see how this Aztec war on Yucatan actually plays out here before I invade them. I was kind of hoping to full annex these guys, but yeah, I have to wait to see what the Aztecs plan on doing with them. Okay, so far this is kind of what our nation's looking like. I'm colonizing down here in the Caribbean, trying to connect that stuff down in Colombia and colonize as much of Panama as possible, and we're gonna work our way through Mexico into the Federation that's up here that kind of proven to be a thorn in my side. Is they've just been conquering too much land over here, and I did just get an additional merchant. I really need to discover the rest of Mexico because there's so much trade to be had over here. And speaking of trade, our trade node's actually at 17 ducats, which puts us close to Genoa, which is the most valuable at 35, or actually Sevilla, which is the most valuable at 38 ducats. For our tier 7 government reform, we're going to go with the Union of States. This is going to allow us to place trade ports or trade posts, which is awesome. It's honestly going to be our saving grace, and it's going to give us additional global trade power. I also didn't realize that there's actually a great project in one of my provinces here. This one's actually really nice for that global modifier, for that additional 30% ship trade power. So it's actually worth it for what I'm trying to do. Otherwise, it's just kind of an okay great project, but that ship trade power, whew, it's nice. Okay, we're going to start our next war against Tlaxcala over here. We're going to annex both Mixtec and Totonac. So I have a couple of my diplomats improving relations with threats, and I noticed something wasn't right, that that they're improving relations with the Oirat. And just for the heck of it, I looked over here, and yeah, Oirat, they have ambitions to reform Mongol Empire. Oh, finally, I can see Mexico, the trade node. That's really not worth that much. All that for this. Well, at least I get a merchant that I could pretty much push all that money over towards me now. Yeah, we're pushing like 5 ducats towards me, and our trade node's worth 25 ducats. Meanwhile, Sevilla's up at 34. Okay, so again, still about halfway. I'm also going to be building a flagship over here in Jamaica. We're going to do a light ship. We're going to do trade route map, which gives us additional trade power per ship and fleet, which I'm building a 30. I'm building 30 light ships, so this is going to be really, really nice. I'm not really going to give it anything else. There's not anything that necessarily benefits our trade other than this. I'm thinking with about 48 years left in the game, we're going to chill on our conquest. As I mentioned earlier, we want a ton of really valuable trade goods, so we're going to work with what we have, and we're almost up to 30 ducats. So I think we should be okay as long as we just keep building our buildings, building manufactories and marketplaces, and also increasing development, along with expanding infrastructure, which does also increase your local trade power, production efficiency, and goods produced. Plus, during this time, I am going to be rushing these two ideas down, so that way I get an additional 20% goods or 15% goods produced. And goods produced, much like production with workshops and manufactories, increase the total amount of goods and value of your trade goods in that trade node or throughout your entire country. So that's typically whenever I'm able to spawn global trade, it's because I'm able to finish those two ideas, and a lot of our trade goods are very, very valuable. So fingers crossed that works. Well, this is unexpected right here. Oh man, this sucks. What the heck does Britain want from me? Which of course, they own tons of stuff. They mainly want Colombia and Mexico. So nothing up here, which, okay, I guess. They are 1 mil tech ahead of me with guns. Well, their colony is also at 12, but I think we should be okay. I think they have about the same amount, oh, more boats than me, of course. Of course they do. Okay, we finally finished up trade ideas, and we could take this policy paired up with expansion for trade efficiency and steering. And we also got an additional merchant from finishing trade ideas. Trying to think where to send this guy. Maybe to Brazil? Or Ivory Coast if I could, but I don't think Lima actually travels up here, which is strange. You would think that, oh no, yeah, it probably goes through Panama. Okay, that makes sense now. Britain, I just have to wait till one of my diplomats gets back, and that'll be the end of this stupid war. Now I can also delete these merc companies because I don't need them anymore. And we can get our ships back to doing what they do best, which is trading. Okay, some of the other things I'm going to do is I'm going to place a trading post over here in Cartagena, which already has a entrepot over here, and that's going to boost up my trade power plus 10 in this area. I'm also going to do the same thing over here in this province, and Mexico boosts up our trade power even more. And then I also have a province up here, of course, in Mississippi, so let's do that. I believe that is it. That should help out our total income go up, yeah, by like about a ducat. So 34, that puts us, oh my goodness, almost 15 ducats away. Sevilla just won't go down, man. It just refuses to go down without a fight. For our tier 8 government reform, we're going to go with mercantilistic approach. This is going to increase our domestic trade power, our merchants trade power. It'll make it cheaper to promote mercantilism, which actually makes our provinces more valuable. So it increases their trade power as well. Okay, we got admin tech 14, and we have 23 years left. We're going to go for economic ideas. We're going to try and rush down economic ideas as much as possible. And on top of that, we also unlocked plantations, which are the big money makers. Yes. Oh man, we're about to make bank now. I'm even gonna go ahead. I'm gonna revoke patronage of the arts for my burghers, and we're gonna take indebted to the burghers. We get even more money, and we're gonna build even more of these bad boys, especially over here in Mexico. There's a ton of them, so we can actually build a ton of them, and hopefully that drives up the total production and value of our node, which is almost at 50 ducats. And as you guys can see, global trade has spawned in 1601. Not in our nation this time around, because guess what? Stupid England decided to attack me in the last 5 years. So not only did I have to fight the Spanish about 6 years ago now, but England decided to piggyback off of that war, and the English Channel is up to 81 ducats as of right now because they're getting all their trade from over here in Central Europe, which I have never even seen Rhineland get up to 25 ducats before, so I don't know what the heck is going on over here. Meanwhile, my trade node, it's currently at 28.9, but prior to the stupid war with England, I had my trade node up to 58.6 ducats. So I mean, a lot of that was because, I mean, as you guys can see, I have a huge freaking navy of that consists of primarily just light ships, and I was making a ton of use of those guys. But because England just straight up has more ships than me, this is just frustrating right now. So that's what we're gonna call it for today as the West Indies. Next time I'm thinking we're gonna be playing probably here in Ivory Coast. You know, I'm thinking we're probably going to be playing as Benin, doing Ivory Coast, attempting to spawn global trade there, and see how that goes. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any other suggestions for trade nodes, any general advice for helping spawn global trade or anything like that, please let me know. And I will see you guys in the next one. Chairman out. I also want to just give a quick shout out to the channel's newest member, Jonathan Crane. Thank you for your support.